Thank you. I now call the general committee meeting to order. The meeting is being held in person and electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act, which provides for in-person and/or electronic participation. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For the consent items, I'll read out the title associated with the recommended motions printed on the agenda. Members of general committee may ask that an item be held to discuss the matter further. If an item is not held, the motion is deemed to be approved on consent. No further discussion of the item will take place at general committee, and the item will go to tonight's city council meeting for consideration following general committee. Okay, we will start with the structure of committees of council and procedural bylaw updates.
Hold, please.
Held by Councillor Kungl. Items for discussion, City of Barrie Lobbyist Registry. Approved on consent. With there being no public meetings, presentations, deferred business, reports of reference, advisory or special committees, we will move right into the structure of committees and council and the procedural bylaw updates. Councillor Kungl.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll assume to, as I held it, I'll assume to speak to both amendments that we're making to Appendix D. So could I first put the item on the floor as presented?
Items on the floor.
Thank you. I would like to start with an amendment, I believe brought forward by Councillor Morales out of conversation, that Appendix D to the staff report LCS 007-22, the proposed composition for the Active Transportation Sustainability Committee be amended by deleting the listed representatives. They note the 6 formal ones specific to different entities and be replaced with 7 citizen members. And I can speak to that if need be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we recognize that the representation brought forward was, of course, from a historical membership list. And what's being represented now is making sure that there's an open call for citizens to be presented to membership that may be interested in this and it not be directive to a number of specific agencies. There will be an exception that will follow in the next amendment.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding the amendment on the floor? Seeing none, those in favor on my right and on my left. It carries. The main motion as amended.
Thank you. The second amendment to the same Appendix D to the same committee is identified as proposing the composition for Active Transportation and Sustainability Committee be amended by adding 1 representative from Nature Barrie and 1 representative from Living Green, and I can speak to that. Those 2 specific entities were identified formally through past term of council, recognizing the tenure of Nature Barrie. You would have maybe recognized it by a reference to the Brereton Field Naturalists and the historical one. So that is the updated name. And we have had some long-term representation there. The second one is Living Green, and that was a formal addition through the Active Transportation Council last term, recognizing that as a 30-year active not-for-profit, working in great alignment to the mandate of that committee.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding the amendment on the floor? Seeing none, those in favor on my right and on my left. It carries. So the main motion is amended twice.
Mr. Mayor, I have also an amendment.
Yep.
And that's the third one printed on the list, that Appendix D to staff report be the proposed composition of the Town and Gown Committee be amended by deleting the Barrie East End Homeowners Association representative because this organization doesn't seem to exist anymore. I don't know that I need to speak to it, but
I take it they're not going to be making any deputations then. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions or concerns regarding that amendment? Seeing none, those in favor on my right and on my left. It carries. So the main motion as thrice amended. Any other questions or comments Councillor Kunkel.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I have one question to the clerk. I was wondering with respects to the same item, but in general around the process for the call for membership. Could you speak to the process that will be underway regarding the Seniors and Accessibility Advisory Committee membership?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kunkel. So paragraph 4 of the staff report provides staff authorization to advertise for the committees. We will retain the applications we've already received for the Accessibility Advisory Committee and re-advertise for the new committee with the new committee mandate, and all applications will be considered for appointment. And we're looking for those committees to likely be appointed not until after budget, just given the timelines of meetings in January and February.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. And I ask that just for members of the public watching, as the Accessibility Committee came out prior to decisions made about whether or not we would continue with the discretionary Seniors Advisory Committee. Now that in the report it is identified that those mandates will be merged, we wanted to make sure the public knew if they were waiting for application to something like the Seniors Advisory Committee, it would be in the reposted Accessibility and Seniors Advisory Committee to come in the new year.
Yeah, that was a good catch. Thank you, Councillor Kunkel, and thanks for identifying that. Any other questions or comments regarding the structure of committees? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. Those in favor on my right and on my left. It carries unanimously. With that, we'll move to inquiries. Any inquiries on my right? Do you want to wait till tonight or do you want to do it now? Okay, those on my left. And announcements. Do we have any announcements for this evening? The early evening? Seeing none. We'll move to the circulation list for December 14th. Are there any items on the circulation list that we would like to deal with? Councillor Rittmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to just bring to everybody's attention the A6 item on the agenda, which I think was really is really an important one. And I'm really pleased that Ms. James Reed is taking and her staff are taking it upon themselves to have some further communications with the board, because it has never made any sense to me to have school buses and city buses running on our streets. It seems to me that we really need to make some sort of arrangement with the school boards and work together on that. So I think it may be, I'm sure it's not going to be an easy solve, but I think it's something that we really should pursue. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is we have an agreement with Georgian College, and that has just worked wonderfully for the students and for the city. And I think that that kind of thing is the kind of thing that we should be pursuing with the school board as well. So I'm going to encourage Ms. James Reed to pursue this with all her might. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other items on the circulation list dated December 14th? Okay, seeing none, we will consider this meeting adjourned and come back for 7 p.m. for our city council.